everybody. This is the Parks Committee meeting of July 18th. There are no additions, I don't think. Are there any additions to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain approval. Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Epp. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. There's no presentations. Public participation. Does anybody wish to speak to items regarding the parks? Please. Oh, okay. Oh. Sorry.
We'll just adjourn for, or just recess for 2 minutes. Recess.
Okay.
We're gonna I do want to see. It would be if you're ending on Monday night.
That's how old
Oh, good. That's good.
Nice shirt.
Okay.
So you're talking has got a lot of time.
I gotta ask him a question. What's going on with the mountain?
We knew it was going to be a long one. Yeah, we should. What was it, 20-minute last? Let's go.
Think of all the looking you're getting done tonight. That's the main reason I'm stretching it out.
Oh, really?
I can see you getting near the end of the road and
Save us, please. Front parts and trips, right? Okay.
Mayor Rance, Council, I'm Thomas Cole, 3960 Hibbert Lane. I live on the mountain, which is just about to become a moonscape.
If you could just wait for a moment until our CAO returns.
No problem.
And then.
Thank you.
I didn't get your name, I'm sorry.
And you're going to have to speak up because I am 65% deaf, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
You called me ma'am.
You can bark at me like my wife does.
If you could repeat your name, please.
Pardon?
If you could repeat your name and your address.
My name is Thomas Cole, 3960 Hibbert Lane.
Okay.
I live off the mountain. I'm over there where the new moonscape is being created. On the top of Neil Road at 1500 Neil Road, there is a commercial development up there. I've been watching it now for over a year. I phoned this council 6 months ago, and they said that they were given a temporary permit to have the building that's up there. The building is one of the, what they call a soft-sided structure that normally you see on the highway that covers sandbags and whatnot on the highway. That cover up there is 60 by 40. There's also a well house that's built on the property, and there's heavy machinery and big machinery inside that structure right now. I would like to know what is going on at 1500 Neil Road. I would extremely want to know what's going on up there. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
At one time, there was going to be a proposal for a quarry on top of that mountain. And under the Mines Act of the province of British Columbia, I, or anybody else in here, can go to the province and ask for a Mines Act. Under the Mines Act, I can ask for a permit to carry on a quarry or a mine. I do not have to come to this council or to the municipality or to the city. I go to the province to do that. If I'm granted that license to try to do a quarry or mine, it just carries on. And when I look at the top of that mountain, it scares the hell out of me, to be honest with you. What is going on up there? Please find out for me. Thank you.
I think, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
You can hear me. So what I would propose is we bring this to staff, and then staff will directly communicate with you. And I will also, if it's allowed, I'll bring something forward on my next Parks agenda next month.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Mr.
Thank you,
Cole.
Council.
Okay, do I have anybody else for public participation?
Shelley Donaldson, Charles Court resident. Not sure if this is actually the committee meeting or if it's the council meeting, but could have said it at Public Works, I guess. Everything overlaps some days. So the mowing that's been going throughout the community has been looking awesome, specifically Glen Forest Way. The ditch has never been so nicely groomed. So the sight lines are great because people do fly around there quickly. But the roadside trail along Rocky Point is really getting bushy. And I'm not sure if the mower fellow is still doing the mowing or not, but it's just something that I've noticed recently, that both the ditch and usually he's pretty good about reaching further to get the brambles on the other side of the trail. So I'm not sure if that's something that's coming up or what. I just wanted to bring it to your attention because clearly it's fire hazard and everything else, but it is getting a little bit more narrower along that corridor.
Okay. Great. We'll refer that to staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else for public participation for the Parks meeting? If not, let's continue. Regarding the adoption of the minutes, page 3 of the Parks meeting, June 13th. Moved by Councillor McKinnon. McKinnon, sorry. Seconded by Councillor Epp. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, next on the list is the reports. My councillor report of page 7. Okay, so this is an issue, the signage from Weir Beach to Taylor Beach along the foreshore. There's no public trail along the foreshore between these two beaches. There has been a number of incidents over the past year. It has been agreed upon by actually the Parks Committee as well as many of the residents that live along this foreshore that signage would be appropriate. We've had Parks meeting. I had an in-person meeting with all the landowners, not all of them, but the majority of the landowners between Weir Beach and Taylor Beach on the foreshore. They came to a consensus on the signage, and that is starting on page 10 of your agenda. The signs, I want to reiterate that the signs are to be placed on existing infrastructure. There's no cement needed or additional posts. Attached are the copies of the potential signage. Councillor Kahakawila wanted to see these again. And so on page 11 of your agenda package is an aerial view of this area and the placement of the signs at Sandgate, at Weirs, at Taylor Road, and at Taylor Beach and Devonian. So if you would move to page 12, unfortunately I don't have, I should have done that. public presentation, but perhaps I'll just explain what it is. So on page 1, this is the councillor's request number 1 to be placed at the end of Sandgate Road at number 1 on the map. So all it says is no public access to Taylor Beach or Devonian Park from Weir Beach. And so that would be at the end of the parking space at the end of Sandgate. The second sign reads private properties beyond this point, no public access to Taylor Beach or Devonian Park. So this is the request number 2, and this is at the eastern end of Weir Beach at number 2 on the map. Okay, and then the third, it reads no public access to Weir Beach from Taylor Beach. So this is the request number 3 to be placed at the end of the trail of Devonian Park at number 3 on the map. Number 4 on page 15 of the agenda package reads private properties beyond this point, no public access. This would be a sign to be sent to the CRD for their consideration for placement at the end of the trail of Devonian Park. And there's an area here not for the Metchosin logo but for the CRD logo. And then the final slide is just a copy or a picture of the existing signage at the end of Sandgate Road at Weir Beach, showing that we're not putting up an additional pole. It will go in between the no parking and this fires prohibited sign. So with that, I'd like to make the recommendation that we're going back to page 8 of your agenda. My councillor's request is recommend approval of the sign at Weir Beach parking lot, the sign at the eastern portion of Weir Beach that'll be placed on the rock face, the sign for Taylor Beach parking lot, and number 4, request to staff to send the recommendations of the signage to the CRD for placement at the end of the trail at the Devonian Park. So, committee. Councillor McKinnon.
So you'll move that request?
Yes, I will.
And I'll second that request. For discussion. I also went out along the trail with you that one day and met with some of the landowners. And I think in general this seems a reasonable approach to signage for dealing with this issue.
Okay. Anybody else at the table wish to speak to this?
Yeah, I think the signs should work well.
Great. Mayor Rand.
Well, I'm not going to support the motion. I've stated my objections to this in the past. I don't believe this is our jurisdiction nor our responsibility, and the municipality shouldn't be paying for these signs. There's an ongoing maintenance issue. There's a tacit recognition that the works that, in my belief, have been constructed on foreshore are accepted by this municipality, and I don't believe that that is the case either. So, again, if the residents want to claim that there is no access, then they should be putting their own signs up. I don't believe that the municipality should be paying for this or maintaining them.
Okay, just to be clear, comments about the fence at Swanwick Farm are moot at this point. We're not discussing that. These signs are not to be placed anywhere near that fence. It's clearly marked here where the signs are placed, at the end of Sandgate, at the end of Taylor, proposal to CRD at the end of the Devonian Park, and at the public, at the Metchosin Beach, Weir Beach, on the rock face. It's not The other signage, there was no appetite for that at the Parks meeting, so I've omitted that. So, does anybody else have any questions or comments? With that, I'll call the questions. All in favor? Opposed? Mayor Rand's opposed. Thank you. Okay, move on to the next issue. Yes. The next issue is the Metchosin Agricultural Forum, Agriculture Advisory Select Committee. Okay, so this is the draft report, and this is the result of the Metchosin Agricultural Forum that was held April 29th. Some of the members of the public here that are here tonight attended that meeting. It was actually a very remarkable meeting. It was a 4-hour brain session regarding the needs of the farmers. It was a chance for farmers to connect. There were 50 people there. I think it doesn't sound like a lot, but to gather 50 people or 50 farmers in one space is difficult. So I was quite pleased with the attendance. There were farmers that were well established, from large farms to farmers that have just been in the community for 1 or 2 years. So like I said, it was a remarkable event. I was there, Councillor Kakawila was there for a couple of hours, and we now have this report. This is a draft report. The terms of reference for the Agricultural Committee says that it is the responsibility of the Metchosin Agriculture Advisory Committee to come up with an agricultural plan. That's what we were moving towards with this Metchosin Agricultural Forum. We had representatives from the ministries there. The Ministry of Environment speaking about the value and the need for a solid Metchosin agricultural plan. I have to say it's been frustrating for me when I've been talking to the ministry about funding, and we are certainly the grants can be applicable to us, and they say to me, absolutely, just attach your Metchosin agricultural plan and we can move forward. Well, we don't have a plan. This is what this forum was about, and it was at the end of the day, about 73% of the people in the audience wanted to move forward with an agricultural plan. The others abstained from voting. People wanted to see more information, which, of course, everybody wants to see more information. So this is the beginning of formation of an agricultural plan. And so with that, I ask you to receive this, but I'm also looking for comments from the Parks Committee. The Metchosin Agriculture Advisory Committee is not asking for approval. They already have a mandate that Metchosin needs an agricultural plan. That's in their terms of reference. I'm looking for comments, suggestions. I know that none of you at this table were able to attend, but certainly you've read the report and read the article by Morgan Yates in the Metchosin Muse. So, comments. Councillor McKinnon.
An excellent initiative. Thanks to all involved. The only thing that was new to me was that in the materials that were provided, it said that at the end that there were 32 hands raised supporting development of an agricultural plan, and I wasn't sure whether that was a majority of people remaining at that point or not, and you've just indicated that might have been 70-some-odd% of the people present.
That was an omission, actually, that we failed to get the denominator, the number of people that were in the room, because there was an influx. It was most. There was about 40 by my count, and when we went through the checklist, there was about 44 people in the room at the time of the vote. So it is a guesstimate. It's not real science. It was a guesstimate but the majority of people, there was nobody that was opposed to it. Let's say that. There was people that wanted more information, so they abstained from the vote. But there was no opposition from the group.
Thank you.
Councillor Epp.
Well, it is apparent that it's a very frustrating aspect is that to get grants, we need these plans. There's a couple, and they're probably going to come down to the next council and the next budget discussions to talk about agricultural plan as well as an active transportation plan, which, as much as they're both expensive to do, is something that we may may end up having to do just to be able to apply for a lot of these grants that come up.
And there are grants available to help develop the agricultural plan. And that was what this forum was all about. Anybody else wish to comment? Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to receive this report. Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Epp. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, the last item on the agenda is a request from the Pioneer Museum. This is a request that was actually hand-delivered by Mr. Bert Harrison. This is a proposal. Oh, let me get the page number for you. Page 31 of your agenda. This is for the construction of what they're calling a portico on the Pioneer Museum. So anybody that's been at the Metchosin Farmers Market, you'll notice that there are new additions to the Farmers Market in terms of extensions of the shelters, and this would be an extension outwards of the Pioneer Museum at the entrance to the Old Barn Books. There's a artist rendition of this on page 32 of your agenda, and I think it's a very nice addition, actually. And if you were at the Metchosin Farmers Market on Sunday, you'd notice that we've got increased attendance almost every year, and the Old Barn Books and the museum is certainly a big draw. So I would recommend, and I would move that we accept this request by the Metchosin Museum Society from Jim McPherson, the president. So I would move that we approve this portico. Seconded by you? No.
Sure.
Okay, seconded by, of course, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. Discussion. Go ahead, Councillor McKinnon.
Is this supported by the farmers market?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm trying to think of any other users groups that use that area, because that's sometimes where
the friction is.
Where Johan's sausage cart is.
Oh, actually, he's been parking his sausage cart in between the meat little barn and the fence.
All right.
Yeah, and the little tiny hut that they have for the books coming in.
Right.
That's where he's been parking, so it won't interfere with Johan.
Okay, that's important to
That's
me.
very important. Yeah. Absolutely. Any other comments, questions?
If the committee
Lisa.
is considering providing consent to construct, you should also direct staff to forward it on to the ALC just for them to evaluate it, as was in the previous one, that any proposed project should be evaluated on a case by case. I don't foresee there being any issues, but we should probably forward that on as well.
Okay. So with that, I'll call the question with the addition that it will be referred to staff for those communications to the ALC. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Epp. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.